What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a mini PC review for you today by Acemagic or Acemagician, and well, I really hope this one doesn't have any viruses. So you might be saying to yourself, Dan, that was quite an introduction of a product you're about to review, and you would be completely right. But with all the recent press, particularly not so good press around this product within the last few months or so, I wanted to put that right up front, especially being a person that, one, does tech YouTube content for you guys, but in my day job, I also work in network security. So I know these things are very serious, and I want to make sure I mention all that up front to you guys before I get into anything else. And I want to make mention too that this product has been covered quite extensively on many YouTube channels. I will definitely get into that here in a moment, but one of them being a buddy of mine, the Net Guy, who had firsthand experience and kind of blew the story up. So let's talk about a little bit of the history of what happened here with this type of product, and did Acemagic respond sufficiently to the incident.
Recently, I received this mini PC for review. I was excited because the brand Acemagic, formerly Acemagician, is one I've heard a lot about and I wanted to work with more. The machine itself is a very powerful 11th gen 11900H with DDR4 RAM, an NVMe drive, and even RGB in this tiny little package. Ready to play the latest esports and kid-friendly games, run as a home theater PC, and steal all your passwords, empty your crypto wallet, hijack your Steam account, and could generally ruin your life.
So that was just a quick snippet from John's video where he initially did the review of this product and what his findings were. Make sure you watch the video in its entirety because there's a lot of really important information in that video, and it became the catalyst of a snowball that quickly turned into a gigantic icy boulder barreling down the mountain. And what do I mean by that? Well, many big tech outlets quickly swarmed on the story, such as Tom's Hardware, Gamers Nexus, who seriously backed John's work here.
This is the type of thing that should instantaneously kill a pre-built company, because that's literally their job, is to not fuck that up and steal from the customer.
Brightech and Lawn TV. Several other smaller channels too jumped in on the coverage to forewarn all their potential subscribers of this issue. So I know I'm painting an unpleasant story here right now, and it's only because I want to forewarn my subscribers, my viewers, or anybody who just landed on this channel who isn't a subscriber that might be watching this. And that's what all those other tech outlets are doing as well. It's our mission as a tech community, when we find out about something, to make sure that we forewarn anybody who might consume our content. One, for our own sake, because we don't want to be held liable of steering you guys wrong, but secondly, that's kind of how the tech culture operates, is when we find out about something, we collectively want to pursue it to make a better situation out of whatever it might be. So I don't want this to look like a video where I'm just bashing the heck out of Acemagician. They were kind enough to send me out their product, which this is not a cheap product, and I want to give them the benefit of the doubt here to make sure that in light of all the negative things that have happened recently, what have they done to correct it, and what are they going to do forward, and what happens with this product that they sent me? And secondly, let's take a quick look at their response that they've publicly published on their website. All right, so this story still is pretty recent, so I think when you go to their home webpage like we are right now, I honestly think there should be an area that really points out the recent vulnerability with their products, and they're just not here at all on the front page. So if you're a consumer buyer that's looking to buy a product, you're not going to be immediately drawn to the potential vulnerabilities that happened and the response that Acemagic has made about it. This is just product details, etc. However, they do have a press button up here at the top of the website, which I'm not sure if that was there before this whole story broke, but it is there where you can drill into their statement. So again, you would have to kind of know what to be looking for, and someone who's just an average consumer looking to buy a product may have no idea or ever even come across this. Let's talk about what they have here. So they have incident review and user stories. There's stuff updated as of March 29th, so a couple months back just about, and it says you can click here to learn more in response to a recent virus announced on February 21st, 2024. Acemagic has taken proactive measures to enhance product security and rebuild consumer trust. At least that's what they say. So if I click here to learn more, I've noticed this, maybe this is something that Acemagic can fix, is it doesn't really take me to anything. It just, in big bold letters, here says malware event. There's nothing else really here to click on that really gives you details, at least on this page. So you actually have to go back and select from the article down here below where we have this comprehensive solution and measures for virus incidents. So a little bit wonky in terms of their delivery of the information, but let's check out what it says here. This is the meat of how we can see what Acemagic has been doing in light of the recent incident. Also, some weirdness. I don't understand why there's these tags up here at the top, but it really kind of makes the page wordy and distracting. I'm really trying to find out what happened with the virus incident. Anywho, so they note here down below, from the New York Press, or whatever that exactly means, February 21st, 2024, Acemagic, a leading provider in innovative PC solutions, has proactively addressed an isolated virus incident affecting a specific batch being a keyword here, of mini PCs. The incident was identified through Windows Defender, which John the Net Guy, if you watched his video, does make very detailed mentions of, detecting the presence of a redline malware, etc., in the basically in the folders where the recovery partition is located. This is, a lot to read, so I'm not going to put it all out here in front of you guys and read it completely and thoroughly, but definitely want to call out what they've done so far and how they've responded to the situation. So they have another update here on March 29th. It says, in response to recent virus announcement from February 21st, Acemagic has taken proactive measures to enhance product security. So not to really ding them too hard here, but this is a bit of a ding in my opinion. Being a network security engineer, is if you had a release of an incident as of February 21st and the only other extra announcement that you've made, at least on your website, is over a month later, that doesn't look so good. I mean, taking an entire month to really release anything. When it comes to responding to an incident, information and proactivity is paramount when dealing with vulnerabilities. If this was an enterprise level vulnerability where some partners, say like Cisco or a large vendor out there that had some type of vulnerability, this just simply would not be at all acceptable to have statements a month later. So there might be some other press releases somewhere else that they might have disclosed more information on, but I think it would look good for them to have more information exclusively highlighting a big timeline on their web page that actually indicates all the actions that were done in that month span. They state, it's important to note that while our previous assertion regarding the use of Microsoft Defender was accurate, at this time we employed Microsoft Security Intelligent. I want to call this out. There's some bad grammar here. This should be Microsoft Security Intelligence for their additional layer of scrutiny. So they said that they employed or partnered with Microsoft to really delve into this. And I like that they're trying to at least show some screenshot of the submissions, but I have to do a big time zoom in on the page just to see what all really is going on here. And this is really going to mean nothing to an end user that doesn't have very much tech knowledge. It just shows some type of submission, submission ID, it's in progress. So I trust that this was done, but maybe a little bit more context around exactly how Microsoft Security Intelligence was engaged. Again, like I mentioned before, it's how the company responds to an incident. So nobody's perfect. Humans run companies. Things happen. There's bad actors out there. There's no company in history that has not had some type of security event that has negatively affected them. So then what it comes down to is how they respond and how they reinstill confidence in their products, and moving forward, what measures do they take? It's not a matter of me wanting to bash the company. It's a matter of me highlighting, as a person that works in tech, as a tech content creator, these are things that you should know about, especially now concerning that we've got plenty of information in the public record. So let's drill briefly into the solutions that they implemented. Customers who have been affected by the incident are encouraged to verify the product date of their mini PCs, retrieved from the bottom sticker of the device. Acemagic will cover return shipping costs and issue full refunds to customers choosing to return affected products. So I guess what that means to me is, based on that verbiage, that Acemagic will verify based on like a serial number if your product was indeed compromised. So John makes mention in his video too that he received a additional mini PC that he bought on his own dime, and it had a V2 designation, meaning potentially this is where Acemagic finally caught up with the issue and now has a batch, as they mentioned before in the statement. There's some good ones out there and there's some bad ones. 2, product retention policy. As the detected files do not pose inherent risks, that I want to completely 100% disagree with. Detected files not posing any risk. There has been a lot of information highlighted by John the Net Guy and all the other tech outlets that this was very, very serious, and I don't know why they have this in this statement, but I don't like that they have this stated here. Secondly, customers retain the choice of deleting the files or opting for a clean installation of the operating system. So right there, that means basically the onus is on the user to take the measures to alleviate themselves of the potential vulnerability. Again, for a common user that says, hey, that's a really cool looking little mini PC. I don't want to spend a whole lot of money. I don't know much about PCs, and that looks like that does everything I want it to do. Most people don't have the knowledge to go in and start deleting or reinstalling Windows. So again, unless you're looking for it and you know about it, this could go completely undetected to you. And on that note, they state Acemagic will provide the necessary operating system and detailed instruction, which they have. I've checked into it. They definitely have done their due diligence there. And additionally, affected customers opting to retain product will receive a compensation of 25% of the original price. It does state, though, to receive a 25% refund, customers must provide the Shopify order number, a screenshot in the pre-installed browser, Upsearch, which is a part of the vulnerability, another piece of another vulnerability that was caught by another tech outlet, and a screenshot of the detected virus. So you basically have to 100% qualify that you have a compromised system to receive that refund. All right, so exchange service. So point number 3, exchange service. While replacement products manufactured before November 2023 cannot be guaranteed due to stock limitations. So there might also be there are different models of this particular model, so there could be some limitations there that you would have to deal with. Additional compensation. So this is really going on as far as really trying to fluff up the customer on all the things that they've done. I will get into some of the things that I'd rather see. So additional compensation, a token of gratitude for understanding and support. Affected customers will receive a minimum of a 10% brand discount after verification applicable to the purchase of. So basically, if you are affected, you get a 10% discount to a brand that sold you a product that is vulnerable and might instill some lack of confidence. And so I feel like that's kind of a wishy-washy statement. All right, so proactive safety measures for the future. This is what I'm talking about in terms of how the brand responds and what they do in the future. So Acemagic recognizes the necessity of enhancing security practice to prevent a future recurrence of similar incidents. Acemagic is implementing the following measures. Strengthening digital security authentication for all release software and systems to ensure their source code integrity, thus preventing unauthorized modification or tampering. So that one's a big one to talk about specifically, and it might sound like a bunch of techno jargon, whatever, but basically what Acemagic was doing was employing or using the services of a third party that was modifying the source code of the operating system to bypass certain particular parts of the operating system. Not really a good idea, and that's how they became compromised, and that's how these viruses found their way in, or maybe were put there intentionally, nobody really knows. But the main thing is they are stating here that they're no longer going to be doing that. Okay. I would like to see too, a little more detail and context around that. Like, who was the third party? You're no longer doing business with them. Are they even really a third party? Are they a shady entity? I don't know. Nobody really knows. So this is where things get really kind of gray area. But then they go on to say that instituting comprehensive security review and audits for all product source code and modifications to ensure that similar performance optimization adjustments do not pose security risks. Basically, that goes on to what I was just talking about with the source code modification to ensure that no things are being done in that regard that could potentially cause an issue. Anyway, going on, establishing a robust product lifecycle management system that includes pre-market, post-market, and end-user security monitoring and management, as well as timely security vulnerability fixes and updates. To me, it sounds like that they're just making measures to ensure that their product is secure as it goes out the door. Monitoring, I don't understand what they mean by monitoring. To me, I'm looking at it's very vague what that exactly means. I would assume that basically the statement in general means that they're making sure that the product meets their product specifications as far as security checks and vulnerabilities before it leaves their warehouse or wherever it's coming from. The problem with that, though, is I think, there's going to be some that are in the wild that will fall behind or maybe never got those security checks because they've already been out in the wild. So it's a little vague of a statement, but I guess it sugarcoats the customer a little bit and makes them feel good about what they're buying. Couple more points here that they have, and I feel like this is the most important part, which is why we're spending time with it. Providing prompt security updates and patches to respond to security incidents, promptly addressing identified security risks and vulnerabilities to ensure the user's product remains in a secure state. Again, how I kind of read that is almost like the previous statement, that they've put it through a standard check, it meets the standard check, it's not virus infected, and it goes out the door to be sold to the customer. Something any tech company should be doing 100%. 100%. In addition, they go on, Acemagic is strengthening its internal computer virus protection management, ensuring strict control over the use of removable storage devices. So that one really throws a red flag for me. That kind of speaks to that they were using, or they more openly allowed use of, say, USB drives to transfer files, be a location for installing operating systems. Do they install on one device and pass it to the next? What does that exactly mean? That's a little bit suspicious there. They go on to also saying prohibiting the use of unauthorized software and implementing regular virus checks in susceptible information systems. So it could be that maybe there was some bad actors, or again, still gray area. It's not, they're pointing out that we are not going to allow unauthorized removable devices. We are not going to allow software that is illegitimate, etc. Great. That should be standard practice for any tech company. And playing a little bit of, damage control. So basically the document goes on. There's several other like screenshots and other things that are related to the statement that they put out that basically, we covered in pretty good detail. What I would like to see out of it is intricate, proactive steps and detailed timeline events of what happened. We detected on this date, we isolated this, we called back some batches. Clearly they knew how to find which ones were affected. So I don't know what that means exactly. I'm sure tons of them are already out in the wild with consumers, but did they partner with Amazon to pull those back? They said that they partnered with Microsoft to do a threat security intelligence analysis of the products. So again, what were the full findings that that really curtailed into making some type of action regarding the product? So there's a bit of gray area there that, take it at your own risk. Personally, me being someone who is involved with information security, it's not okay to have a vulnerable product and make a mistake that might make it vulnerable, but the response that you have is what most anybody's looking for. So if there's a lack of responsibility and it just kind of gets tucked under the rug, that's going to be a no-go. And to me personally, reading through that, I feel like they did take some measures. They probably knew exactly what was the cause and understood how to mitigate it, but didn't really give a lot of consumer detail of what they actually did, which we may never find out. But what we're going to do through the rest of this video is ensure that Acemagic did the right things. They held to their statements that they've got on their website regarding the viruses and the malware and all the other things that have been detected, and they've mitigated that. And do we have a nice clean product, and is it safe for the consumer? And does Acemagic get a pass for doing the right thing? Let's find out. All right, so we got our little mini setup going, as one would probably want if they bought a mini PC. But just got my portable monitor and everything set up off my network, so definitely take precautions to not put this on any network right now before we do any kind of scans. And we're just gonna see what we run into on first boot up. Okay, just the button right up front there. It's got some RGB going, looking pretty nice. All right, here we go. Main thing I'm concerned about is what's the Windows experience look like right off the bat. This is just a moment. Make sure my got charge on my keyboard there. Okay, so we're going straight into a setup, which I like to see. Not some type of bypass directly into an operating system, which would be a red flag. So we're doing English, United States, or wherever you are from. And this is a US keyboard. And I don't want a secondary. All right. So we've got some statement here from at least, just want to double check the license agreement here on the operating system, last updated June 2021. That's probably just a generic statement from Microsoft. I'm not sure if that means the age of this actual operating system at this point, but here we go. Who's going to be using this device? Dan from PC Tech Hustle. And we're gonna I'm gonna skip password. I think I just hit next. I should be able to skip. Okay, just a moment. Hi, it says. Getting things ready. This might take a few, so what I'll probably do, if this is going to take a minute, I'm going to speed up the video, but I don't want to cut because I want you guys to see everything that's going on here. All right, so we are in the operating system and red flags already. So a normal Windows 11 installation, if it was straight from the Windows OEM build it key that you can get from Microsoft.com, you would run into a network setup because they want you to log into their Microsoft account. And I am seeing something installed here, an LED control tool, which has been noted as something that potentially could be infected with a virus or being flagged by Windows Defender. So I'm going to take it straight to Windows Defender. We're not on my network, so we're not at risk of anything here, and we're going to straight up scan this right now. All right, so we want, again, I mentioned we have the RGB software that's there. I wonder, do we actually have Chrome here before we do a scan? Because Chrome was another one that a lot of people had a big time problem with. Doesn't look like it's here, so that's good. What these things were being caught with was a browser extension within Chrome that was already installed, which is another red flag because you shouldn't really have anything installed on a fresh, bare operating system. But those browser extensions were known to be vulnerable as well. So let's do a scan here. All right, we'll go to virus and threat protection, scan options. I want to do a full scan. And I think what I want to do here is there's a full scan, and then there is also this option for a offline scan, which we are technically offline. It's stating here within this that some malicious softwares can be particularly difficult to remove from your device. Microsoft Defender Antivirus Offline Scan can help find and remove. Using these should take up to 15 minutes. So we're not going to record that even in fast forward, because if it does take 15 minutes, that's going to be a lot. I'm going to do a quick full scan right now, and then probably do that one additionally. I also have a USB where I've downloaded Malware Bytes, and I want to run a scan on that on the system as well before I do anything. All right, scanning now. Alrighty, scan is complete. 0 threats found, which is good. Some weird, it says scan lasted only 1:53, but I guarantee it was running for way longer than that, so I don't know why there's some weirdness to that. But what I also want to do here is what I mentioned previously is the Microsoft Defender Antivirus Offline Scan. I'm going to run it through that and then run it through my Malware Bytes. That way we've got a full comprehensive scan and see where we land. So we're going to start this up and move on to the next. And we'll hit scan right here. Yeah, we'll let it do its thing because I think it has to go through a shutdown mode of doing the whole scan process. So here it goes. Alright, so we're back in Windows, and that was with the offline scan. I walked away and it ran the scan, came back, it was booted back into Windows. That's typically what it does, but if you're not there present to see it, it won't show you any kind of indication of anything found. We should be flagging that just in case already through Microsoft Defender. So I think the last thing we'll do here is we'll get Malware Bytes installed. I got the executable installation on this USB drive, and we will go from there. Alrighty, and Malware Bytes is now officially scanned. We went through the full scanning process. Funny thing enough, I just noticed this, and I did notice it before, but the time clock is really far off, over a month ahead of this time. So I think that's just because this thing hasn't been plugged into a network to synchronize its clock since. That's neither here or there. That's probably also why we saw some weirdness with the amount of time it took to actually scan something. But Malware Bytes is coming back completely clean, so I'm thinking this satisfies me pretty well enough to at least feel safe about plugging it into my network. Now my network is completely secured too, so I have a firewall, enterprise grade firewall that also does scanning and checks for all the big bad things, and I have a complete built-in DMZ which I'll plug this into, so meaning this PC cannot talk to anything but the internet. So nothing on my local network, all that is locked down, so I feel pretty safe about that. But I first want to get the scans done, at least locally, offline, looking good. I'm going to plug it into my network, get Windows updated, run another Defender scan, and run another Malware scan to get it fully up to date and see what that gets us. All right, so after a bit of time, we got the latest Windows 11 update. This was actually a major revision update that had to be updated. I feel like I said update a lot there. But anyway, the latest version of Windows 11 took a little while to update that, and then I went ahead and ran, on top of everything else, the Windows malicious software removal tool, ran a full scan on the PC just to make sure there was nothing there that might also be found. So in total, we've ran Windows Defender, Malware and the malicious software tool. Everything coming back clean, no threats detected. So I'd say from a standpoint of running those tools against this machine, although on a modified OS, everything is looking good and clean. All right, so we've talked a lot about security, and particularly this video, I didn't really want to make it exclusively about security and viruses and all that stuff and the threats that might happen with that, but it's necessary given that the press release recently within the last 3 to 5 months regarding this brand and their product. However, through our tests here, we can see that Acemagic has, from my perspective, at least with this particular product, taken the necessary steps to fix the problem. Now, even though this device is considerably clean in terms of not finding any issues through malicious and virus software scanner and removal tools, does that mean that they're doing it 100% right? Well, I don't necessarily think so, just based on we still are running a modified OS. This is not what you get from Microsoft if you were to download an operating system from Microsoft and install it yourself, say on a custom PC or any PC for that matter. So I'm not sure exactly why they're doing that. I can only say it's probably due to cost because it's, you know, a license from Microsoft. So they are skirting around that and using that to probably generate profits because honestly, I'm sure the profit margins are pretty narrow with pre-built systems like they are with any pre-built company. So take it at your own risk. If you think this is good enough for you, I'm not going to be responsible for your security practices, for your equipment and what you do at home. But for me personally, I would take it a step further and reinstall the OS from a Microsoft licensed image that you can download from Microsoft. Again, because of the nature of the recent press, again, this is not to bash Acemagic, it's mostly to put out information because I am a tech content creator and I see this as a very worrisome security risk that you should not take lightly. All that aside, the product itself, I'd have to say it's a beautiful looking product. I have always been drawn to these mini PCs. I thought they're really cool looking. I like the idea of reviewing new types of tech. But what is the target market for this type of PC? Well, it is an i9 11900H. While being a mobile processor, a lower TDP chip, it still has a lot of cores and a lot of threads. The processor is pretty strong, but that's about where it ends. Honestly, if you want to game on it, you're not going to really have a very good experience because these processors aren't really made to game, and this machine does not have a GPU in it at all. Which you're not into gaming or you just need a low footprint, powerful desktop PC that takes up a small amount of space, then this is a perfect solution for you because it's got plenty of processing power, a fair amount of storage, I'd say 512 gigs, 16 gigs of RAM. So it's going to do all your basic average tasks with complete ease. So you have no worries about that. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't game on these types of machines either, meaning using it as a proxy to stream gaming services such as GeForce Now, where I've taken other mini PCs from other videos, and yeah, you can connect to their services through proxy of your mini gaming PC here or gaming PC and have a good time playing some games online. Or one last use case I think you could consider if you want a full PC experience, but you want to do some streaming to some type of display and you don't want to use something like an Amazon Fire Stick or Roku or whatever, then this is a good platform to do that where you want to stream some type of streaming service and take up a very small amount of space. So all that said, this is buyer beware. This probably isn't exactly the review video that Acemagic is looking for entirely, but what I would have really liked to see is a really detailed breakdown on how the vulnerability affected their systems and all the steps taken. They did make some gray area mentions of they are re-upping their security practices and they're increasing their standard, but they didn't really give detail exactly on how they're doing that. And we still don't know exactly how these machines became infected other than we know a third party was involved, be it an actual different company or is it someone that worked there? Or, you know, there is a lot of gray area on exactly what's going on there. So that's where it gives me ever so slight bit of trust issues still with this product. Did Acemagic make it right? They definitely really tried to, I would say, as far as satisfying the customer experience. There was a lot of monetary level things there, reading through the statements that they had on their website, whether it be that you can get some money back if you wish to keep the product, you can get a full return, you get a coupon. I'm sure they're really trying to better their brand PR at this point. However, you know, things got out, and yeah, they're gonna have to live through this and band-aid up for quite a while, and hopefully even better their practices on how they deliver their products when it comes to security and general public information. And yeah, I mean, don't run modified operating systems. This one's got it, and I'm gonna have to wipe it out. So anywho, guys, hope you found this video informative. Definitely a little bit of a different kind of video than I normally do. I'm not sure if I'll be doing any more Acemagic videos in the future. However, this is where we stand about 3 to 4 months later after the major incident broke. Thanks for tuning into this one though, guys. I appreciate your time, and I will catch you in the next one.